Miscellaneous, I think in miscellaneous, we were hoping to talk
You have to
about.
come out of executive session.
Yeah, so you need to, they don't need to.
Oh, I guess we
vote
didn't
because
vote
they
on
did
it
that
yet, we
in
did,
the
we did
No action.
confirm for it.
No action,
No,
yeah.
yeah, no, it was legal representation.
So you just need to come out and say resuming regular
Right.
session
Okay.
and no
And-
actions were taken
I
during
see.
executive session.
We also are supposed to give our identity. We're supposed to say who was in the executive session, if we could, please.
Okay,
So if we could, and I'll just have everyone go around and give their names, and I'll also mention Bob Cole. But if we could, please, involved in the executive session were
Zach Shapiro.
Cable Brown.
Joe Richards.
Les Downs and Bob Cole,
Tom Murphy.
David Dutray.
and Nick Moderano.
Yes.
Okay.
Nick Moderano, yep, that's me.
he's still here.
He is.
He's
He's been
doing
paying very close attention, too.
You're not looking very good, Nick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
you got shorter.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
So do we make the vote or do we just move forward?
We should vote on the record to come out of executive session.
Okay, cool. So we'll make a vote to return to our normal meeting
Exactly.
outside of executive session.
So motion,
I'll make a motion for it.
Yeah, a second.
Nick,
Yes,
Tom,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
out of executive session at 6:18.
Cool. Now we'll move on to miscellaneous, which I believe Bubba had some stuff about personnel staffing in relation to transfers or.
Yes, so, first of all, Tom, I appreciate your passion as well. We're very passionate. We can get defensive because we have been in the trenches working with the hospital. One thing I will tell this board is our relationship with the hospital is getting better. It has gotten better. So we are working in the right direction. But as far as adding crews, adding trucks, okay? What we pay for is readiness. That's what, we have to be ready 24/7. We have to be ready to go to Stonewall, we have to be ready to go to Branson, okay? We also have to understand that we're a small and rural, super rural ambulance service with limited resources. No different than a critical access hospital that we serve, which is small with limited resources. So the answer isn't, and I don't want to get, because we all have to be fiduciary responsible, and by adding cars or people to handle what? The transfers that we don't make a lot of revenue on. If we're going to add people to, it's to community paramedics and those type of things where we have a decent revenue stream. So I just want the board to understand that by throwing more people at it, you're throwing more dollars away than you're going to be bringing in, and that isn't going to last very long. So
Not only that, but we have a hard time staffing what we have right now, just because nobody wants to do it. It's a small community, it's hard to get people here. And the other thing is, and you might be familiar with unit hour utilization, and I know we're built different, we're not a for-profit company, we don't host at street corners and stuff. But ideally, an average unit hour utilization is 0.25. We're at 0.1. So we have poor utilization.
Yeah.
So ideally, if we were for a for-profit company, we'd be sending trucks home.
Right.
We wouldn't be adding trucks. Cost per call is roughly $2,669. So that's what we should be bringing in to maintain just service, just to come out break even. Is about $2,660, and that's per call. That's not per transport. That's not. So, and then when we do transport, we're collecting $500 on Medicare, $200 on Medicaid.
So we know all that's
So-
getting done.
It sounds great. I would love to add more cars, but financially, it's not possible. Physically, it's not possible because we don't have the staff. It's just not there.
How much did AMR want to do it?
800,000.
Well, and I think so the board also understands the only reasons that we have limited transfers is for crew, patient safety,
Right.
and availability, period. We have never, since I've been in my position, just said, absolutely not, we're not doing your transfer. That doesn't happen.
Right.
The other thing would be patient condition, just like I brought up in my report. That's what happens. We're on tap right now, we do roughly 400 transfers a year and have been doing that for the last 6 or 7 years. So they go up 10 or 20, go down 10 or 20. I think the last drop in it was like 382. And then there's 416, those type of things. So we're not doing transfers. We are only not doing transfers when the highways are closed, when it's it's unsafe to send a helicopter, but yet we're gonna send an ambulance in an aluminum box down the highway with all the visitors and everybody else trying to drive. It's not safe.
So
That's when we restrict transfers.
in short, what you're saying is it's never because of a staffing issue, or very,
Right.
very, very rarely ever is it because of a staffing issue that we might not take a
Right.
transfer. Yeah, and just because I don't say never.
The only way that it would be a staffing issue
Yeah,
is if it's an ALS transfer and we're a BLS day.
okay.
That's
gotcha.
when we're talking staffing.
Cool.
If not, we have 2 ambulances. If one ambulance is available and the weather's good and patient's in stable condition, we're gonna take the transfer.
Cool.
So,
What'd you say?
2 ambulances,
Or
right?
two ambulances available,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Well, I mean,
I
I
got
meant
you.
if
No.
one ambulance is available while it's on the transfer.
Right, I got you.
so what Zach had asked, in a previous meeting, and again, what I'd like to hear as a board member is just if there is an issue where one wasn't transported out, and even if it has to be an executive session, if we're going to talk specifics, that's what I'd like to know.
No,
as a board
he's been
member.
putting,
Yeah,
both
do it
last
every
meeting and this
meeting
Right.
since, yeah.
he's- I know the meeting before this one, so for June, I believe it would have been, there were no transfers that we didn't take, and then this last one, there was only the one that was because it took a critical care truck. A critical
Right.
care truck took them, which is usually higher level of care and a bigger bus.
And just as a layman, again, it was my understanding that we would be going past, Pueblo. So if we're not, if there's more transports to Pueblo, because if we're going to Springs and Denver, those are, in listening to you guys before, those take more time for your staff.
Right.
So that's again, as a layman, I'm like, okay, if you guys are going to be out and your crew's gone, how do we fill that in?
Well, once again, Tom, so we're a limited ambulance service with limited resources, people, trucks, all that kind of stuff, no different from the hospital.
Okay.
So we're doing the best we can. We don't refuse transfers unless those things that I've given you.
Okay.
Which
I have a
I can
question,
say,
Mama.
I've been.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yep.
So I want to know, out of those 400 transfers we do, how much is the taxpayers paying for somebody else's services?
So I think maybe a
And I
better
don't-
question is what,
You don't have that information on hand, but I
No.
mean, theoretically, how much is it costing the taxpayers to transfer those 400 patients per year? Because obviously we're not making money on it, we're barely breaking even, so at some point in some time, taxpayers are paying for it.
You'd have to go back to find that report.
yeah, and I think we can probably look that up. I think a good point is obviously it's not a money-making thing. The reason we do it is because the people need to get to a different hospital.
Right.
The one thing that the hospital thinks we should do is step and fetch and do it whenever they want. We're saying that we're gonna do it when it's safe and when we have crews available.
Right.
That's
Which
our
I agree.
point.
And
And
that's
we're gonna
where-
continue doing them.
That's where I say, I don't think even with what we went through, I don't think we did anything wrong. I think we were still doing the right sort of thing. It's just we backed up onto a piece of paper that wasn't gonna protect us all the way. But I think what we were doing is what we're still doing, and it's the right thing to do when we're doing everything we can when it's safe and appropriate to do so. And so that to me is something that I feel very comforted by. Because again, I come from the world of private services where they are not about that. They'll make their extra money and then people get in crashes and patients get hurt and people fall asleep and all sorts of issues. So I fully respect that.
So I just wanted the board to know that, so. Thank
We
you.
good on miscellaneous?
Yes, I think so.
Please, yes.
Do you, oh, Tom, hold on, Tom has.
Nothing specific. I mentioned the other night at a city council, and Mr. Downs knows this, I said, this is, there was some contention at city council, and I got up and I spoke, I'm gonna do another forum, as I'd done for the ambulance, and I'm gonna do it for city council, which now with 20 people running. But having been to more government meetings than probably anybody in the country, this is the way the sausage is made.
Yeah.
It's not always pleasant. We can push each other's buttons. I've been doing this because I want to make my community better. I did this on my dime and my time for a long time for different organizations and this organization. So I'm as passionate as you guys are about all of this. So I'm here with the and I just want, what's best for our community. So down the road, it's still my hope that we don't have a city-county situation where we can't get along. And that's just one example. There's others out there in government entities. It's the one that I'm closest to. And I just want to say, whatever our differences, let's get above that, because if we're all at a meal or some celebration or whatever, we can walk up and,
I think
talk to
I
them.
think what we've been doing is healthy. I'm not a yes man sort of person, and I think that going through and even just entertaining what a no would do is great.
Yeah.
I think that's how we keep. Again, for me, I'm personally invested in this never becoming a private service city, and that's something that we have to be a little rough. We have to kind of, brush some feathers occasionally.
Right.
It's to ruffle some feathers occasionally, which is fine as long as we all
Yeah.
work back to the middle. I think is what it comes down to.
Okay.
Cool. Are we good on miscellaneous?
I am.
Sweet.
Next meeting date, I believe.
Yeah, let me pull it up.
I have September 27th.
That sounds like a day.
It'll be here before we know it.
Final Wednesday or next to final?
Fourth Wednesday.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I got 27th as well. So we'll move for next regular meeting date to be September 27th.
We don't have to, it's in your bylaws, but that's when it is.
Oh yeah, as long as it's posted. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's all, yeah.
Cool. Cool. Then yeah, same place, same time.
Back channel.
September 27th.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Good.
Yeah, jumping right in.
I like that. Nick? You there, Nick?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm here, yeah.
Hi, Tom,
He missed it.
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
adjourned.
Sweet.